Your volume's on still, don't forget. Well, good afternoon and good evening. We're back. After a short hiatus, we are proud to bring back our live virtual programs. Today, we have an incredible session of quick wins, tips, techniques, and of course, inspiration. I can assure you it will be an hour well spent. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lottie McKinnon, and I'm Teleflora's Program Director of Industry Relations and Education. I'll be hosting and behind the scenes for today's program. We have a ton of excellent, practical, timely, and inspirational information coming your way. So that we can give you the best possible experience in this virtual format, I have a few housekeeping items that we're going to ask of you. If you have any questions for the presenters or general Teleflora questions, please put them in the Q&A function in Zoom. We'll answer your question either offline or I'll group them together and ask our incredible presenters. We'll keep the chat function open for us to send you links, recipes, and files that you can easily download and use in the future. Please don't input questions into the chat. We want to make sure that we get to as many questions as we possibly can. Of course, feel free to give shout outs to the presenters and we'll have some audience participation shortly. This webinar is being recorded, so if you have to step away or you want to refer back to any of this program, it will be available on our YouTube channel, Teleflora Design Education. Speaking of social media, we do put all of our live virtual programs and classes on our YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe so that you can be notified when we post new videos. We also have a ton of information on our Facebook and Instagram pages, so you can check us out there too. Okay, so that's all of the housekeeping stuff out the way. But before we get started with today's main event, we have an exciting competition during this program. Pause for clapping. We'll be awarding one lucky winner a 3-month membership to OneClick, FlowerClick's website management system. Here's how it works. If you have a Teleflora website and are not currently a OneClick member, please enter your shop name and shop code in the chat. It's 1 entry per shop, and we'll keep this open for the next 20 minutes. We're going to draw the name of the winner at the end of this program. Okay, so get your entries in now. So without further ado, today's presenters, wow. What can I say? Both Vonda LaFever, AIFD, and John Hosek, AIFD, are members of Teleflora's Education Specialist team, coming to you from Florida and Wisconsin today. Between the two of them, they've created designs for presidential inaugurations, AIFD main stage, royalty, celebrities, and have been featured in magazines, and both own and run successful businesses. So please join me in welcoming Vonda and John. Vonda, over to you.
Thank you, Lottie. Now, before we get started, I really want you guys just to put the busyness aside, right? All the work that you have to do that you know that you have to get done. Mother's Day really is magical. So it's beyond just making pretty designs and delivering flowers. Sometimes there's a whirlwind, right? Every day, and we lose sight of what we really do. Think about it. You make connections. You send love. You bring joy. You cause tears to be shed. You make people's day over and over again. There's such satisfaction in what we do. And with the busy month ahead, it's important to remind yourself of why you do what you do. With Teleflora, you are part of the hand-delivered, hand-arranged network, and you should be proud of that. However, just because your DNA is to make people happy doesn't mean you're working for charity. You're working for a profit. And so you need to be sure you're operating a profitable business. Most of you who know me know that I really stress that, how important that is for each and every one of you. The magic needs to be felt by the customers ordering flowers, as well as the recipient, but also for you and your team. When you're working so hard, the culture of your shop and how you're communicating and interacting with one another should be magical as you all work towards that common goal, customer satisfaction, and a good work environment for everyone. So here's a quick list of a little bit of magic that you should be creating in your store. It all starts with the owner manager. It's the key to success is that organization. You probably have your flowers ordered or you know what you're going to be ordered. The containers are in your shop or soon will be. You probably have determined maybe what those add-ons will be on your website or when you're making those sales on the phone. Plants are ordered, coming in. Make sure that you schedule a staff meeting, right? It's very important to get the right people in the right seats, so to speak. Your designer, your best designer should be at the design table, and your top salesperson should be on the phone or greeting customers when they come in. But everybody needs to know what they're doing at ease, right? It's one of the things that you just need to be able to do on your own. Make sure you're communicating with your staff clearly what your expectations are. You know, they might have not been through a holiday before and they don't know how grueling it can be. It can be fun, but you need to set those expectations for you. Pricing is so important. We're going to cover that, as well as getting your website ready, because it truly is your best salesperson. As I say, your best salesperson, because the first impression that it makes to whoever's landing on that site is so important. And that website works 24/7. It's taking orders when you're sleeping, right? So that's how important it is. It's filling in a gap that you would not be doing yourself. Now, when I say it's important and it's a salesperson, think of it as the menu. 80% at least of the people who come in your store or call you have already looked at your website. Much like when you go to a restaurant, right? You browse the menu, then you decide what you want to order. And that's what it is when people land on your website. So make sure that whatever is on that website is what is on your menu. Much like the menu, right? When I go to a restaurant, if there's too many choices, oh my gosh, I have a hard time making that decision. It's the same with your customers. They have a hard time making a decision if you don't limit what they can buy. And the other advantage to limiting what they can get is it makes a difference in your productivity in your store. If you're only producing 12 or 16 different designs, or maybe it's 6 designs in 4 different sizes, then it makes it so much easier for you and your staff to be productive in store. So you decide what the customer's going to buy. And when I say that, we want to limit our choices. Don't limit it too much. Last Mother's Day, I was browsing websites, which I do quite regularly, and there were people who had everything designer choice. It was a week before Mother's Day, and you could see it was just all designer's choice. The problem with limiting to just designer's choice is, as a consumer, I have no idea what your designer is capable of doing. So be sure and keep some designs up so that they can look to see what it is that you can do, so that they can put their trust in your designers to make something they know will be suitable for their mom. And hide some of the categories as well. You don't need all the categories for those 2 weeks before Mother's Day. You know, the ones that you want to make sure you're going to be shopping for anniversary and love, you know, when they're having anniversaries or get well or birthday, new babies, graduation. These are ones I usually suggest. And of course, sympathy needs to be on, and weddings if you're wanting to book weddings, because there's probably a consultation form there that they need to be able to fill out. So limit the choices those couple weeks. You just need to make sure that you're making it easy for yourself and your staff. This one is a big one, right? This is arguably the most important prep you should do for Mother's Day. Honestly, every day I hear the noise, and many of you do too, about how important it is to change the prices. And why doesn't Flora change the prices on my website? I'm here to tell you that you were the one responsible for changing the prices on your website. And I'm not saying that because I'm working for Flora. I'm saying that because nobody knows what your overhead is, what the cost of your flowers, the cost of your containers is, except for you. So that's why it's important that it's you who makes those decisions. So with the increased number of orders you're going to see, if the prices aren't correct, you'll be losing money on each order you fulfill. That's how serious it is. And you have a lot to think about here, right? You have to pay your bills. And when I talk to shops about profitability, I hear time and time again that overhead is going up. So think about that. Look at the 6 months of your utilities, the last 6 months. Take a look a year ago and see what it was then and see how much your overhead has gone up. Of course, then you want to have to pay your employees, right? And we know that wages continue to go up. So if you are now charging 20% labor, you don't need to increase to 25% labor to take care of those employees. And also, you have to pay yourself. When I go back to talking about paying your bills, you need to make sure that you're taking care of pricing your products carefully. So let's go into that. When we look at that design that we see here, there's 2 different ways you can calculate designs. And most of you already know this information, right? So if you're you want to create a design at $100, you're going to start with that fixed price, deduct your labor, deduct your container, your supplies, and then it shows you how many flowers you can use to fulfill that order. Or if you're doing the kind of, I call it build a bear or price forward, you're starting with your container and your supplies, your mechanic and your flowers, and then you're pricing out your design. And Lottie can drop these in the chat. It is, if you're going to do a 30% labor, you're going to divide your whole ingredients by 0.70, and it's going to give you a selling price. So pretty easy formulas, easy to do, but it's super important that you make sure you get it right. And when I say get it right, the other thing that we have to be sure of with the shipping charges that are going on, what's happening is, as you know, prices are kind of insane. The prices of flowers has stabilized, but the shipping charges are what continue to rise because of the lack of truck drivers. And so it's inflated, right? So I want to make sure that when you get those flowers in your door and perhaps they came in at 90 cents and now you have a $12 delivery charge from local, you need to divide that out and put that on the cost of your flowers. The same way if you're buying direct, this is the one that kind of really, hate to say it, kind of bites you in the butt because you might be getting some roses at 50 cents a stem and you're like, whoo, that's a great deal. I'm going to get those in. They'll be here. But then when that invoice comes in, I can tell you that a quarter box of flowers will hold 150 stems of flowers. It's 150 roses. Let's say your 150 roses came in, 50 cents a stem. Now I get that box price because it's come from FedEx. It's about $60 if it's going, way up northeast or northwest. Now I have to divide that $60 by my 150 stems. That's another 40 cents a stem. And I think that's where we're missing it sometimes when we're calculating our prices that we have here. This arrangement, if I calculated those roses at 50 cents and they're really 90 cents, you can see how easy it is not to just get out of control. It's just really hard. It's easy for you to change those prices in ESAT. If you're a telephone member, you have a eFlora site, super easy. Go to merchandising in ESAT, product management, pick the item that you want and the pencil, and then you go to the next screen and you're going to change each one of those prices, your deluxe, standard, and premium. Be sure not to change it on this screen because if you do, you're going to just change standard. And if you just change the standard, your deluxe and premium might be less than your standard. So you got to make sure that you're doing that. And or else you can also do it in bulk, right? So you could do a whole bulk of those, which we can see here on the screen on the left. There's a little filter things that looks like little arrows. Click that. You can write in Mother's Day and then go ahead and select markup. You can do dollar or percentage and then pick out what you want to mark up. It's easy as that. Be sure to hit save. And we have a lot of different how-tos, really step-by-step on how to change things from delivery fee to pickup orders to flex deliveries, tips. If you're not doing tips, do that. And if you're open on Sunday, those are things that you could easily do yourself. And Lottie has a document that you can just go through, and it has screenshot. Cami Martin from Flower Click has got that all set up for us, so it makes it easy for you just to go one screen to another and be able to do it yourself. So with that said, Lottie, we this is kind of that last chance to enter the drawing for one click. So if you want to do that, take and put your name and your shop name and your telephone code in. And at this point, John, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I'm going to show you some fun designs, and it's so important, like when Vonda had mentioned about pricing. I know all of us, we like go along the ditch of Floria or along the road sidea, which is some of the things we get for free, but we really have to watch our costs and everything as we're doing all these items. So I want to start showing you some fun techniques and some fun designs. So we're going to scooch into here. Hopefully you can see this pretty nicely.
Vonda, I'm just going to ask you to take off your screen if you wouldn't mind, so that I can give.
Yes, trying to do that. Okay,
beautiful.
sorry. There we go.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
now
Sorry.
we can see him.
Yes.
Thanks.
So on this design, we've actually did a kubari inside, so it's actually curly willow wrapped around my hand for a fun little technique. And this is what we're going to call formal linear. Beautiful style design, working with the pussy willow, working with curly willow. And you guys know me, know how I like to enhance things. So this hydrangea has a little bit of enhancement. It's a blue hydrangea with some just for flowers burgundy put on the design itself. So hopefully I can do, yeah, perfect. There we go. So style-wise, just really kind of fun and different. And then playing with colors, we think of Mother's Day. I love some of the Sorbonne lilies, how beautiful those are. Snapdragons, just really beautiful placement. And about techniques, so we're talking about different things that make things faster and easier for us for Mother's Day, and we're doing mass production. So a lot of these designs, we'll put the curly willow actually in the design. We'll put a little bit of the grasses, and I'll show you a few of these, how they work pretty well, but it gives you a little bit of fun coloration. So just very analogous tones, the pinks, the purples, the raspberry tones. And I love this container. It's the Iridescent Delight from Teleflor, which is amazing. So we're going to move this little kit up here to our little setting. I'm going to bring one more over here. Awesome. And I love the mod collection. The mod collections are awesome. It's very on trend. And again, when we're doing mass production, and I love this little technique, which is very fun, taking with our grasses. So it's actually taken lily grass with a little bit of ribbon. You can see I actually did a 3-piece weave going back and forth, back. We do a whole bunch of these up. We have them in the cooler, so they can be done weeks and weeks and weeks ahead of time. So it's really kind of a quick, easy little fix, but that little bit of motion works so nice in design to give a little bit of a rhythm for sheltering technique. And again, extending that horizontal line. You're going to see a lot. I love structures. I love curly willow. I love pussy willow. Lots of willow making some great movement lines. So that horizontal line working really very pretty. And again, doing our focal of our lilies, working to this part of it. We're going to make this little guy. We'll move him over here a little bit. We do a ton with orchids. Are these not yummy?
Beautiful.
Rich, rich, rich colors. So we do a lot with orchids, and with this one, I actually did a permanent botanical inside it. So this is from Allstate, and Lottie has some connections for the product for these. But again, you know, if we put a little critter in or something kind of fun, you'll put a bug in it. Actually, it sells. It's really wonderful. And I love these butterflies, very whimsical and very fun. But again, for us, we like to have our own signature. And for us, a signature, oftentimes when orchids come in, they have like the wires, they have the little clips on them. We like using actual birch. So I think you can probably see this pretty nicely in the design. We used actual birch branches, took a little bit of the paper covered wire and mechanically bound those in place. So just a really beautiful keepsake for Mama, and beautiful container from Teleflor. I love this. It's a beautiful pattern. And I believe this one is, help me on this one, Vonda. Which is it called? I apologize.
That's the Rosie.
Rosie, thank you so much. But just how those colors play together, and that is beautiful. I'm going to set that little kit off to the side, so I need that big plant piece. This is a fun little technique which I'd like to show you. So a lot of times with plants, and when we have fresh that we want to put into a plant, we make our own little, I call them a sushi. So it's actually a piece of dry foam. You put it in your pan glue. So you're going to dip it in your pan glue. You work it around. It's creating its own container on the bottom. So it'll absorb water. So it gives you a sourcing for water. So on this, is a wonderful hydrangea. Again, one of our Teleflora containers, one of the sympathy products, but actually it's great. And I gave this to Vonda earlier. It's actually a green color. I gilded it with a little bit of gold, but I want to show you how quick and easy. I'm going to insert this. So I made it custom fit, and I've already soaked it with water. It's going to fit into the front of this, just like a wonderful little piece. So I can actually add any kind of a flower to it and add very fast. Just going to use a little bit of Italian ruscus, and I love using products that are actually very long lasting and holding up extremely well. And bring this a little bit further closer to me. And adding ruscus is really very pretty here. I'm going to take one aspidistra leaf, roll over the top, piercing it down just to kind of camouflage all my mechanics real quick and easy and fast. And you can do, what's great about this is it gives us a water source. And having a little bit of ammonium or misty blue, as a lot of people like to call it, these can be done up in advance, and little plugs can be dropped right into the plants, made up in advance, popped into the order, and out the door they go. And what I like about this concept, it actually allows you to integrate the flowers into the plant. It gives you kind of a really fun texture with the plant. My table's just a smidge tall. I'm going to work a couple of these up into there. And I love this beautiful pink mondial rose, just yummy. So with the plant being in the whites, I wanted to add just a little bit of this blush color of these pink mondials, just to give you a little bit of a bang. And what's great about that, I can pierce right through the glue. If you want to bring something down a little bit lower, it allows you to go right through. And if I want to add just a little bit of white, just to carry my white hydrangea down, I'm going to do a little bit of the alstroemeria, a little bit of pinks. And what's great, it gives me a wonderful reservoir. And the customer, once they have this, obviously they can just add the water just like they normally would to an arrangement. We put a little care tag with it to get a little bit of fun fresh. Put a little bit on this side just to tie it through. Just allowing those colors just to play a little bit. When in doubt, leave out. And add one more over here to bring our tie down. But just kind of a fun way to add fresh to a plant. It holds up. We don't have to worry about the water tubes because water tubes evaporate so quickly and they're drinking through. But just a kind of a fun, quick technique, which I think will be really, really great for Mother's Day and for every day, actually. Another fun little guy. So again, when we look at this, the Serene Swirl from Teleflora, we're trying to find some fast, easy ways to be able to do design fast. And this is actually umbrella fern on this little design here. And we do a lot of mass assembly. We'll put 3 or 4 of these out in a row. We put all the umbrella fern down. We plop all the hydrangea in there and just thread it. And with this, he just took off the top, but I did this one yesterday. I had a wet paper towel on the tulips. It keeps tulips, they're phototropic and geotropic, from growing. If you put a wet paper towel, it has to stay wet. It keeps them in place, but it gives you a kind of a really fun. And I know it's just a simple technique, but it really is group color blocking. You see the lines of color going through, grouping like items together. It really gives a really fun effect. So I'll bring another little kid here. And when we think of Mother's Day, I think pinks, I mean, that doesn't have to always be pinks because my mother loved oranges and reds too. But this is a wonderful grouping. One of my designers, Chris, did this one. I just love the way it's blocked. How the roses just work this beautiful way through. And this was done as a hand tie. And it's really, I mean, hand ties, I realize they take a little more time and not as efficient, but whenever we do hand ties, having all of our product laid out in a row to make sure that it's quick and easy to pick them up and put them into the hand tie, it makes it very, very easily. So again, color blocking, bringing the beautiful Mondale roses to the top of it, grouping the tulips, grouping a like item. You can see how that goes through there, but it makes it interesting from all sides. And I think that's one of the things we always think it has to be something here, it has to be balanced and equal, but there's balance and counterbalance from the roses coming through, the eryngium pulling your eye through this side makes it very fun. And a little bit of element of the Dusty Miller is just a beautiful add-on to it. And also a little bit of the wax flower playing back and forth through there.
So John, I've never heard that about the paper towel on the tulips. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So you find that you just keep them wet and then you put it on there?
Yeah, so a wet paper towel, it blinds them. So a tulip's is through its tip.
Right.
So if you put a paper towel, the weight of that holds it in place. They will not, or they will not move. It's
Love
awesome.
that. So when you can do your tulip arrangements for Mother's Day, you know, like starting on Sunday and Monday, really, as long as you're waiting them and they're wet. You go in and spritz them then a little bit?
We treat everything with Crowning Glory Hawaiian Mist. I like the Crowning Glory because it kind of seals it and keeps it in place, but it looks kind of like a funeral, so to speak, because all of it covered with all these little tents over them if we have tulips in it. Same thing with this. Chris did this one earlier and it kept them all in the same place. There's a wet paper towel over this part of it. We take the Crowning Glory and just keep it damp, and it keeps them all in their same place really well. So
that's a great care and handling tip, John. Really great. Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that one. So this is kind of a fun. I did not attach that properly. I'm bad. On this, I want to bring this around so hopefully you can see. And I'm going to actually pour the water out. So I did a Kubari grid on the inside. So it's just basically curly willow twisted on the inside of it to give me something to be able to attach to. And I really enjoy working with bear grass. I'm going to took my little kid off of there for a second. With bear grass, and you are gonna, it's been wet, but normally when I work with bear grass, I make sure it's dry. Bear grass has a blade to it. So when it's dry, we do not hydrate our bear grass. We leave it in our coolers in the box. So if it's left dry, when I do this, it's not going to give you that paper under your cringe. You're like, ah, it's a paper cuts. But it really keeps the blade when it's wet is very rigid and very turgid. When it's dry, it curls on itself. But I'm going to I call this my little curling iron technique. So it's kind of some fun ways. It just breaks the fibers down a little faster. And when you do this technique, I just kind of, and this is something we do up early. We'll have them done in advance. I'm taking the bear grass on a piece of the curly willow and knotting it. So it's creating these beautiful rhythm lines that are back and forth. And I'm doing groups and chunks. We go through cases of bear grass because it's such a fun product to work with. And you obviously can tie it to the flowers once the flowers are on there too. But this gives you a great way just to kind of find some fun rhythms. Like this piece of curly willow is flipping out, but it's going to go back in whether it wants to or not. But they talk to you. It's like, oh my gosh, you're not going to do that for you. Yes, I am. Flowers do talk, right? Once in a while. That's the cocktails that are happening too. I can't tell. I've been really good, none today. But anyway, creates a great rhythm. Bear grass and just making sure it's all front facing. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of water in there. And it can be that fascinating. These can be done up a week, 2 weeks, as early as you'd like. So it just becomes plug and chug. It's like when we're trying to do these really quick and easy elements, I'm going to put that in there, work his little guy. I'm just working a couple of these little pieces through so it creates this beautiful shelter. Love these yummy roses. It's a tangerine. Doing a little bit of stacking. A little bit of the dubium. Love this flower. It's wonderful. Opens up. It's in the ornithogalum family, so the Star of Bethlehem. It's such a long-lasting cut flower. Is amazing. And I'm just extending kind of my lines to give me a wonderful, fun movement. Gonna hydrangea say yes, going right in there. So working that little kid down to that part, and just a little bit of spray roses. Give me just little pops of color. And I'm bringing some of the color this way on my opposite side. So I start carrying my line of color back this way across. You're getting these wonderful diagonal lines that are working in the design. Just kind of a quick, easy way. It's a great way to be able to add flowers really fast after you have the structure mix. A lot of the labor part is the time and the mechanics of putting these little kids together. So that's a great way to speed up time on some of the centerpieces. So we'll put this little trooper up here.
That was super fast, John.
Right? Another beautiful one of the mod designs. And I love, this is so rich. This rose is a new rose that I've been familiar with, but I've not seen. It's called Matahari. And it's a really, 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 really deep pink. And the reason why I wanted to do this, I had one of my designers, Chris, she did this today for me. I wanted to do something that is analogous, monochromatic, all the same kind of colors and tones. So this red pink, they're almost analogous, but they're really monochromatic in that color palette. But something I want to show you, something that works for us, which is really easy, is for our succulents. So we put them in a little corsage bag. And when I pulled it out, I pulled the wire off the bottom of it. I should have pulled the entire thing. We put heavy gauge wires like these guys pierced through the bottom. So that gives us our little mechanics for it. It keeps the succulent in soil. So when the client goes to use it, the plant, they just have to actually put it right into the dirt, and it does really well. But it's a fun, beautiful, I love this variety of succulents, this dark burgundies with these dark tonality colors. They just really are very, very pretty and very fun. Another, I'll take that one first. So some of our beautiful mosaics from Teleflora. So I love this mosaic pattern. And Vonda and I were talking yesterday. We wanted to make sure we did some different price points and pricing up. So this one is priced at $65. So I wanted to kind of show you a scale going up, adding different flowers and doing them by $20 to $25 increments. So this one's 2 alstroemeria, 2 roses, 2 spray roses, 1 hydrangea, 2 Italian ruscus, and I had this little fun little armature of pussy willows in there. So this one is a $65 retail. It could be $65, $75 very easily. I wanted to take that up to 1. I'll move this off to the side here. I'll move a couple of these out of the way. This is my next little bad boy. We went up a little bit bigger, but I went up for 2 reasons. One, I did color for one, and I wanted to do more flowers. So when you're seeing this pastel palette, how beautiful and soft and very romantic, but look at the intensity when you change the color, how it feels more vibrant. It feels like it's more than what it is. The only additional to it is 4 more roses, a little bit of sweet William or dianthus, and I was going to take a zhuzh of ribbon. I think ribbons make a fun difference in designs. They give you some beautiful flow, but I'm not a bow person like the standard bows. Just think of the bird goes flying through the air, it's rolling, and this ribbon just happens to come dancing down, and it just works its way through the design. It just becomes a beautiful, we talk about lines, there's static lines and dynamic lines, and this being very, very dynamic. And I'm just going to take this and do a little tie here at the end. But ribbons are coming back, and I love these muddied, washy, softy colors. They're just absolutely very, very beautiful, how those play through, and very fun. So our next little design here is going to upscale one more. So I actually did a little more than 25, I do believe. Let me move this one up here. This one's ended up being 125. And I did the Sorbonne lily. I love this grevillea. It's just actually, it's very hot, to be honest. Just a beautiful, fun texture. Working with the deep purple roses. These are really very, very cool. And again, same container doing the mosaics. It is a different color of the mosaics, but to have our different price points of our 125, our 85, and our 65, it's great to have those different price points available. But I want to show you, this is one little technique that we do really quickly, and we do a lot of them in advance. I'm gonna let you guys take that back off if you don't mind. We'll leave him there. So we do a ton of pussy willow armatures. Whenever you manipulate any kind of a foliage or a product or branches or anything, you want to do it at room temperature. And your new best friend, which you'll absolutely love, is a zip tie. On these willow armatures, we do a ton of these. Could you bring me one more of one of these mosaic vases or something on the back? When you manipulate them, I actually have a whole bunch of them right in here somewhere. I put them up there. We go. Whenever you manipulate any kind of a branch, you want to do it at room temperature. You want to break them down so that they really become a little snap there. A little more plot. I'm trying to force them a little too fast. Thank you, Chris. It just allows those fibers to be broken down. But again, this is one of the, thank you. This is one of the mosaics again. We do this with a little zip tie. So once I've broken these little fibers down and I take the cat nines off, just I don't want those in the water to make the water icky. Very technical term, icky. But when we do that, to get it warmed up, I can bend these, zip tie it. It allows me to force that in the vase You can do different kinds or different styles because they're using tension to hold them in place. We'll take that one out. This one's like a little bit of a double. It's wherever your creativity goes. But what's wonderful about that, it gives you a mechanic that you can do weeks ahead of time. Once you put the water in, I mean, you could do some really fun twisting, another zip tie, attach them together. Wherever your mind creates, creativity goes, you can put as many in there as you want. And that's how I created these three looks. First, the two smaller ones just have the single in it. The large one has two in it, one going vertical and one off to the side. But armatures are really wonderful in your zip ties. And if you've not used zip ties before, for those of you who haven't used it, there's a flat side to a zip tie and a bump side. You always want to make sure you put the end into the flat side. You hear the sound? Ooh, that's magic. When that sound happens, you know it's not going anywhere. But that gives you some wonderful armature structures. And that's how I made those little kids with pussy willows. And again, don't put them in water. Let them be room temperature, let them dry out a little bit. It allows you to be able to break and manipulate the product. So anything you manipulate, always do it at room temperature. If you don't, they're going to snap on you a lot. It just makes it much, much harder. I'm gonna let you kids have that. Thank you. Another beautiful one of the contemporary collections. And again, it doesn't always have to be a roundy moundy perfect arrangement. And I think that's what we as, oops, a little water. So it's just a very fun doing color blocking with flowers, color blocking with product. The hypericum berry, we know it's like the fresh St. John's wort, the Orangium, but just love the softness of the gray, bringing the colors. We know grays are a hot color trend right now. The grays of these kids coming up, and also reinforcing a little bit of the grays of the Dusty Miller. Just a really fun, beautiful look, carrying the color of the container up into the design, all these muted, I'll call washy tones, so to speak, that little pops of color of the blue. So, and I just love this line topping up for this design. Really gives you a fun feel for that. I think any mother would love that for going onto her table or credenza or an entranceway without a problem. Got another little fun kid here. Let me swap that out with you. This is also in our iridescent delight. Aren't those colors wonderful? We did this one as a hand tie. Look how beautiful that is.
That makes that container look totally different with those colors from the last one that you did.
That's how I love it, because it picks up whatever it's beside. It gives it that whole beautiful, beautiful feel. Analogous tones, pinks, the hot pinks, but we did that little bit of split complement with that orangey yellow, the snapdragon. Everybody knows snaps talk to you, right? Hello, my name's Snappy. I'm talking to you. They're just a fun little flower, but that orangey yellows. And there again, it doesn't have to be this perfectly round flavor. And that's what I love about this is we're seeing this. I mean, the buzzword we know is organic. Everybody comes in, oh, I want an organic bouquet, or I want it organic. I want it organic. I think we've organic 5 million times, but that's kind of where it's at. And this is kind of, it gives you an organic feel because there are some clusterings and some pillowing and layering that's happening in this bouquet, which is absolutely beautiful. But it has this wildness to it. It's almost like that Holly Chapel feel that we used to call it, but it's almost that formal linear where you see there's not really a center, but you have this one side here, one side there, really gives you great. And also the umbrella fern. But I just love how it transmutes the lavenders more into pinks because it starts picking up that halo of color that's with it. So just love the coloration. It's really very, very pretty. I'm going to hold off on that. And I think it's my turn to pass back to you. Is it not, Vonda?
Yeah, I'll take it back, Sean.
Okay. Sorry if I went too long.
You are just great. We couldn't get enough, I'm telling you. This is that container that John was talking about. On the right is how it comes from Teleflora, and you gilded it with, tell me what you did on your painting technique.
So I did a white first, and I just sprayed a white. Then I took bubble wrap with the 14 karat gold and rubbed it. So it just picked up the highlights. So it actually gives you kind of that vintagey old world feel to it, just to kind of give you a fun little twist to, I mean, how often do we have containers that, you know, like, I need something that's this color, I need something that's a little bit different. We have it in stock, and oftentimes we just have to put our little designer hat on and are working in our right brain a little more in our left brain, and try doing things a little bit different. But I love these containers from Teleflora because I'm not trying to do I am a Teleflora. I love doing a Teleflora plug, but not even for that reason. This container is awesome. It covers so many different things, from planters to sympathy to celebrations. It really is a great vessel with a lot of volume to it. So for plants, it really does do a nice job.
And it doubled the price of it, at least. You know, it really elevated what you had before in the regular container by just making that.
Oh, I put some 14-karat gold on it for you. It's fabulous. You just got another $20.
Exactly, that works. Well, Lottie asked me to talk about a few things that are trendy or that we really need to be able to highlight for you for Mother's Day. And one of them is make sure that you're posting on social media. I mean, the social media is giving you top of mind awareness, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but as you get busier for Mother's Day, it's important that you are continuing to post. And so right now is the time. John's going to take a picture of all those designs he did, take them outside where it's beautiful light, take the pictures, and then he has a whole library of things to just be able to drop on for Mother's Day. So he's got his specials already ready, you know, letting people know what you do. Put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, and make sure you're dropping pictures also on Google Business Profile. You can see all of these social platforms have your website on them. I like to say that all roads do lead to your website. So it's make sure that you also have those icons on your website that allow people to go back and look at your Facebook page and leave a review on Facebook or Google or Yelp. So as you can see, Leona Sue's, shout out to her, has all of those on there. Also had a special banner made that she was voted best of Arcadia. I don't think I said that right, but anyway, sorry. It's just proud to be voted for 10 years in a row. So let people know that they should be buying from you. And so that's just a shout out to them. One trend that we're seeing in Flower Click is banners or people putting the hanging baskets for outdoor or patio plants. I know John told me the other day when we were going to chat, he goes, I got to go out and do some planters. So I know he was out doing planting and getting things ready. So make sure you know that you're offering that on your website. So whether it's seasonal blooms, Mother's Day, patio planters, hanging baskets, blooming plants. Also, we're seeing a lot of wrapped bouquets with Teleflora's option to do pickup. You can just have those pickup only, and they can come in and get a wrapped bouquet, all different price ranges. So make sure that you're making those offerings for your customers. Also bundles, bundles for Mother's Day. They're going to spend $150 to $200 or more. Let them spend it all with you. So here you can see a little bouquet of flowers along with some perfume. Sometimes, you're going to do candles or whatever you have in your shop you're offering. Make sure you're getting that on your website and on the sales sheet when your customers are calling and your staff know to handle it. A lot of people are adding custom designs, and I just want to caution you on this. Take the time to remove the background, or if you're going to use, you can see how much clearer and more defined each and every one of those are. Take time to remove the background, come up with your name, your price, and a description from each. All of that helps natural SEO, organic SEO in the background. But caution is this: don't put the clipped backgrounds in the same row as those that are not clipped, because it just kind of looks muddy, right? So if you're going to do it, either do a whole row of clipped and then another row of non, or else use a consistent background. It's going to give the customer a better look, I guess what I want to say. When they're taking a look, they're not going to be confused. It's easier for them to see when everything's consistent. And you're like, I don't have time to do all that, right? Well, it's easy. Just drop it into canva.com is one that's easy to remove the backgrounds. You can make your custom banners there as well. It's a free website that you can go to. Also, a lot of customers or a lot of members were doing it in Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom, or PicMonkey. Lottie, you had an idea on this one too, right?
Yeah, so I've actually been using my iPhone for that, because you can literally just press the image and drag and drop, and it does it all for you.
So there's all kinds of ways you can get it done yourself, but just take the time to make it look really professional. Your customers will appreciate it, being able to make that clear choice by being able to see really through that. Now, John and I are going to move into a session on pre-made bouquets, and we received a couple bouquets from Flower Buyer. And so we're going to show you a few things that we're doing with that. But before we do that, I just want to tell you, I actually am a big fan of pre-made bouquets. You need to be able to use them right and price them right. That's the key, right? So make sure that when you're getting that price of the bouquet, you're adding in your shipping and you're taking it ×3. A lot of people take everyday's fresh flowers ×3.5. My point is this: when you get a pre-made bouquet in, I'm not running to the cooler and getting this and getting that and getting this. I know everything that's on my table is what is going to go in that design. Add the container, subtotal, and then come up with your special. You can take a lesser markup, like I'm saying, less waste, less time. So the whole advantage to pre-mades for me is it controls your cost of goods sold. There's no stuffing. If I have this, my designer has this amount of flowers in front of them, they can't say, oh, I need one more of those. Oh, I want one more of those. It really saves on your cost of goods sold. Has less waste, and then it increases productivity. If I have 12 bouquets in front of me and I'm dropping all those in, maybe I'm enhancing them, which John is going to show you a little bit. If we enhance them, then we're just adding that price to it. But it does make a huge difference at the holidays when you're trying to crank them out and get as many out as you can. You can also have designers who are not designers. Maybe they're arrangers, right? So there's a little difference. John can design anything, but maybe a new person who's coming to the store for the holidays isn't used to designing, but they can sure arrange. And that's really, I think, a great point for the pre-made bouquet. And let me screen my screen. I'll show you mine, John, before you jump in there and show your zooms, because you got some cool stuff here there. Let me stop share. There we go. So the pre-made bouquet that I received, you can see it has the white roses, has the little minis, has ranunculus, veronica, and had some ruscus, I think is what it had. So what I added to it is the pittosporum. I did some variegated pit. I also did the the lily grass. John, you love bear grass. I like lily grass. I think probably because I got cut too many times.
Don't put it in the water, do it dry.
I know, that's a great tip. I've done that before too, but it's like, I guess I like the volume, and I have to admit, this is in my yard, so it makes it really convenient to use.
That's not fair.
Yeah, I know. So one quick little tip on this is when you're using the lily grass, you can truly just make a little slit, take the end of it and bring it in, and then you got a loop that you don't have to do any other mechanic on. It gives you this loop, and then you can put this in your design. And really, with just 3 of those added, it gives me a lot of more juge, as you would call it there. Did I say that right, John?
Zhuzh.
Zhuzh. And then I just put 3 up, so it gives me, it mimics the line of my veronica, and then the few little loops really enhance that. So as you can see, they're beautiful pre-mades, easy to use, and easy to design. So I'm going to turn it over to you, John. Show us what you've got.
Yeah, so I want to show you one little quick technique that I was going to show you earlier, and hopefully you can see this. So a lot of times, and this is actually working with lily grass again, and it's a braiding technique. So what we normally do, it's 3 pieces of lily grass. We do a little slip knot, and it just is a really quick over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and it creates that illusion of that. Again, can be done up weeks and ahead. It really makes for a fun element for texture to add to the design. So yeah,
is that a ribbon? Is that balloon ribbon or just like a half-inch ribbon?
Balloon ribbon, yes.
Balloon ribbon.
We usually have half a dozen of them, and this is a great job for drivers. You guys know I love dragging all of our staff into different things, and sometimes, but a lot of our younger drivers, they've had a lot of fun making these kind of things and making them for us. So my designers can have them readily available, but it's something that's quick and easy. This next arrangement, so this is the same bouquet that you just showed, and I want to show it a little bit different, more of a high end. So Chris did this design, which is beautiful, and we took the white out. We wanted it to be a little more on the analogous side. of deeper shades, tints, and tones, and using the deep purple roses. And same thing with this, the bear grass, but we did a little piece of kiwi vine just sheltering over the top of the design just to give it a little bit. You can see that. And we use a little bit of the umbrella fern, just giving it a little higher end feel. I love bouquets when they're used for the purpose of speed and efficiency and exactly what they're being used for. But again, it allowed us to, like you'd mentioned, keeping the pricing where you want it to be, but just adding a few other elements. We just added umbrella fern, we had a little bit of Fatsia foliage and removed the white. So it really kind of gave it a really fun little twist of that. Let me give me one more there. So this is again, oh, let's grab that. Connected. This is that same bouquet, but I left the white in it this time. And ideally, all I'm going to add is 1 hydrangea, 2 Italian ruscus, and everything else is in the bouquet, which is great. And again, it keeps your cost at a very quick and easy point. And I'm just going to separate these out. I'm not going to take a whole lot of changing of the foliages. I'm going to leave it a little bit in the organic style. So I'm going to grab my hydrangea and I'm going to group these guys. I'm going to group them in pieces and spiral them into, I'm doing my little 45, gonna add a piece of greens, a little 45, 45. I want to bring a little color to the center of them. We use that deep purple going down through here. So color, bringing it through. And again, does it add a little bit of element of time? It does, but everything is already in the package. Everything makes it much easier, but it gives you that chance to make it be a little more custom and styling. So adding these pieces, gonna tangle, let go. I should have separated them all out so they're all easy. And again, I'm not taking we took the other foliage off, so it's pretty clean from there on back, but I wanted a lot of these extra leaves to stay on. If I needed to, like that one's gonna have to go bye-bye because it's gonna be a little bit, but I want it to be a little bit more voluminous. And again, the Veronica, which I love, you know, by a little space, by love where you had those up in the air, kind of gave it a little more of a wild feel. A little bit of the Israeli ruscus, getting my leaves out of the way. And it gives a really fun twist. And one of the things that I think it really allows us to be able to add, so I'm going to set this down. My spiral is all in its one spot. As I mentioned, I love bear grass. You guys know I love bear grass. This is dry bear grass. And you can very easily, once you pick that up, I'm just going to take one bunch of bear grass, those same elements, applying those to the outside. I'm going to use a half a bunch. Bear grass usually costs about $3. These bundles in the same spiral, bring that spiral in, bring that spiral in, bring that spiral in. I'm just going to rotate it. So I can rotate that around. And a couple of my little flyaways here, I like a few of those, but it really gives it more organic European styling. A little bit of my organdy ribbon, number 5, twist it around. Just going to do a little knot. And I think I forgot my bunch cutters, so I'll use my knife.
Yeah, there again, you're just holding, you're continuing to know your cost of goods sold because you have a half a bunch of bear grass and 1 hydrangea is all you've added to that with that little bit of ribbon.
And one of the bunch vases from Floral, I just want to carry that color through again. And it does give you that great coloration, and you make it a little bit shorter so it plays a little bit nicer. But there again, carrying those colors makes it feel like it's bigger and more volume to it. Just a kind of a fun way. You could always, if you wanted to break the fibers down a little bit more, and when in doubt, leave out doesn't apply, I would add a little bit more just to kind of give it that extra volume flowing out of the design, which I think is very, very fun. So
Okay,
I love this. Go ahead.
So John, now you're going to do a wow bouquet for me.
Can I do one more quick little bunch, or do I need to go?
No, please go ahead. I know everyone wants to see it, but before you do that, John, I do have a question for you. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. So you were talking about the wild feel kind of being a big thing for you. So can you kind of give us an idea of exactly what's selling in your shop and roughly the kind of AOV you're looking at for this Mother's Day?
Yes, very much so. I've been very blessed. I just opened up a new space here, so it's been really awesome. We've had a lot of home decor elements that have come into us, a lot of interior designers asking for different things. So that organic feel is kind of like the buzzword of all the interior people. Well, we want it natural, or we want it to have, because if you look at all your shelter magazines, you look at Architectural Digest, you look at LE Decor, you're seeing all these vessels and vases with like blooming branches and or just a couple Fatsia leaves or Monastera leaves or things of that nature. So for us, we do a lot of style bouquets of this nature. So our average price went from probably in our old location, our average is probably about 75 to 85, and it's gone up to like 95 to 120. But people have been coming because we have them in the cooler on a regular basis. I know a lot of times this is a goofy statement and we've all heard it before, but if they don't see it, they don't know you can do it. And for us to have, we've had a couple gentlemen come in at times, they're like, I don't see any $150 to $200 arrangements for your cooler. And we were changing the cooler and I'm like, oh, son of a biscuit. So it's one of those things you got to let people see them. I mean, this bouquet is very easily in the $125 range. It's mass, it's beautiful, it's yummy, it's got all these beautiful, fun little textures and elements to it. So this is kind of the look that we sell a ton of, or something with structures to it, with branches. I have people, they want architectural, architectural. We had that 3 times today. Every time I started working on projects, I'm like, can you do an arrangement? Sure. So Chris would do it or I would do it. So this kind of a feel, hopefully I answered your question, Lottie. Does that answer you all right?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. It's really good to know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So this last quick little guy. So this was the other bouquet that Vonda talked about. So I used the white flowers, and this is basically roses. It's 15 roses. It's the dianthus. And I just wanted to take it and make it have a little bit more of a, we're seeing gilding. So we have several clients that you're going to see this last arrangement that I do. It has a name attached to it, but we have several clients that they love their metals. They love gold. They love silvers. And with this design in here, I made some little ribbon rosettes out of aspidistra, and I can give that to Lottie. We can show it at a different time, but they really had a fun texture. So it's all these round forms, round roses, the round aspidistra leaf. And what I wanted to do, again, it's that same element of adding that little bit of extra. So I'm going to reinforce this line of these metallics. This is just Italian Rosca sprayed with super silver.
Don't do this at home, folks.
Yeah, you have to have supervision. But again, just adding this little fun element of adding that metallics, you can see how beautiful this gives an extra play. And these are some of the foliages, some of the ferns that were in there, and a little bit more of this bear grass. And I just gilded it. I'm adding a few little pieces to it. I'm going to bring a couple elements over just to make it feel like it has a bigger impact. So seeing those chunky pieces playful there, it's beautiful. It becomes that rhythm with ribbon. Where, as I mentioned, ribbons are coming back. We're doing more and more with ribbon, but this gives you that ribbon feel with the foliages. And I'm just going to collar just a couple of these here because I've got them in the bouquet. They're like, hey, Dad, we would have wanted to. They said the flowers kind of talk to just a little bit. And this is one of the containers from Telefoy. This is one of the art glasses. I love this little bad boy. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to take just a little piece of organdy ribbon, maybe, and just mechanically bind this again. So running that through, round, round, little square knot. And what's great about the ruscus and things of this nature, they're very pliable. They'll allow you, again, room temperature, real fresh little cut here. And like you mentioned, the botanicals, to have this, I'm breaking down their fibers again to warm them up a little bit. I want them to be a little bit softer in those lines, but this gives you a beautiful feel in there. And I love how the color of the container plays into the deep purple rose and the light lavenders. So hope you like that one last little pre-made, because that gives you a way to also, obviously, like Vonda had said, to be able to capture, knowing exactly what monies you actually have into it, especially if you're using a little more expensive keepsake. So this last little design, Let me clean off just a little spot here because it's bigger than the table. When Vonda and I were talking, we wanted to kind of wow our mama. So we have a customer in our shop whose name is Gigi. And Gigi designs are big, beautiful, yummy. She loves pink. Pink is one of her favorite colors. So when we have one of the clients, and these are some of the arrangements that we have in the cooler on a very regular basis. And this style of design, it's very radial, it's very fun. It is a little bit formal linear. You can see this wonderful little pathway that goes through there with the pink spoon tortilla on the top of it. But again, butterflies, you put some critters in them, and I love this butterfly pick. This comes from, you see that? Yeah, okay, good. And I gave that to Lottie also. You see where to get that from Allstate. But a great little element there. And I mentioned ribbons. So when in doubt, leave out doesn't apply. We see all these beautiful muddy colors, and these are from a Reliant ribbon. Got a whole bunch of beautiful little yummy colors. And what I'm going to do is have one. So this is a really technical way of measuring. My arm's about 1 yard, but you need to measure it for sure. But doing this with 2 yards, I want to do one little loopy-doo. So just giving myself some beautiful movement, and my ribbon shears. I don't know about you guys. We have the ones that have the little ribbons on, so no one uses them to cut branches and everything else with them. Need to clean in there, clean in there. But what you're going to love is again, I love zip ties. And just taking a little zip tie, hear that sound? That's wonderful, wonderful. But before you completely close it in, I'm going to attach this. So this piece of Pussy Willow has just been zip tied into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find this, I'm going to lift it up just a little bit. And I'm going to zip this little kid through the zip tie just put in. So close the one I put on the ribbon. Now my new zip tie. And I'm going to clip those little kids off. That's going to go back down into the design. And we're going to puddle a little bit of this, having some fun, and bringing a few of these little kids up and through. If that reads all right for the camera. But ribbons can be beautiful just to take it over the top and make it be something that we've not seen before. And it adds an extra element of value. It adds money to the order. But again, we have to cost them out to make sure we have charged for that. Find some fun knots into it also would be fun. But I believe, Vonda, you're going to price it out for us, right?
Well, I think we kind of had an idea what it was going to be priced at. I'm supposed to sell it.
Oh, you're supposed to sell it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm supposed to sell it to a person on the phone when they call, because they are not coming in, and we need to be able to do descriptive selling. So this is kind of a cheat sheet we have here for you to be able to, I think Lottie's going to just take a screenshot and put it in the chat, but you want to make sure that you're giving them an idea of the size, colors, container. You're kind of painting that visual picture, as we would say, as they're on the phone. And then you want to look at that design, which I looked at here of John's, and go, okay, which one do I want to highlight when I'm making my description to sell that? So I kind of looked at that, and I kind of did circles around what I was thinking. So the person is on the phone, and I would say, you mentioned that your mom loved garden flowers. Well, you know what? We have the perfect bouquet. The design I'm looking at right now is hot off the design table. John's our top designer, and he's created a large, lush design in a tall glass vase. I see a variety of the garden flowers in there, including fragrant lilies, roses, hydrangea, even some tall blooming flowers like snapdragons, along with some unique flowers called protea. There are so many varieties in there, I can't even name them all. And oh my gosh, the accents, just like Mom's garden, it has butterflies. And it's so creative the way he has them fluttering around all the flowers. And boy, the finishing touch, a sheer ribbon bow with streamers. It's just like it's like resting on a cloud. Doesn't that sound perfect for your mom? Yeah, it's only $249 and the perfect gift to tell mom how much you love her. What do you think?
I'll take 2.
Okay, there we go. All right. So the selling sheet really does help, because otherwise we, as Lottie and I were talking, oh, it's so beautiful. You know, we just would say it's beautiful. And, you know, so using other descriptive words, kind of knowing who you're talking to as well, because you don't want to talk above them. And then you also notice that I didn't talk about every one of the flowers in that bouquet. Number one, we'd be there forever, but try to key in on ones that customers will know. You know, usually they know lilies and roses and snapdragons. So that's why I kind of pulled those out. And then the butterflies, of course, like you said, anything with a little creature in, they're going to buy. So I think that's kind of what we wanted to go with on that.
Awesome. Great.
So this kind of wraps it up a little bit, right, Lottie? Do you have questions first?
Yes, I do. Somebody is asking, what size of zip ties do you prefer to use, John?
They are a 10-inch.
10-inch, thank you, because Home Depot and Lowe's are about to get hit. I think we're about to sell them out.
Your utility belt will be all full of goodies.
Thanks.
And John, do you always just use the clear ones?
Well, no, it's according to what it is. We do, as you'd mentioned before, we do a lot of porch pots. So I love the black ones too. We do a lot of zipping of birch together. If I want them to disappear, white on birch I use, but if a lot of times we'll use black ones and they really just disappear completely into the product, especially if zipping permanents. So we'll do a lot of permanents in the bouquets too, which just make it easy for being able to tolerate weather. Like we had snow yesterday, so things were outside getting dumped on.
Terrible.
I know.
Move down here. It's a little nicer, John.
I think that'd be awesome. We're supposed to have night. It's supposed to start getting nicer again, so hopefully that'll be the case.
And it's beautiful up there when it's nice, for sure.
It is. It is.
Other questions, Lottie?
No, I think we're ready to go to our drawing. If you are, I know we'd like to kind of highlight the social media aspect of all of us. It's a great way to communicate, and I know you have a lot of information on your podcast.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so please subscribe to our podcast, however you usually like to listen to your podcast, but look up the Business and Pleasure of Flowers, and Lori and I just love to give free information. So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vonda. Now, right before we get to this, I do have several sheets of information for everybody. I had a little bit of a technical glitch in the background. So everybody that has attended today, I will follow up via email and send you the sales sheet, the description sheet, the eFlorist sheet. So you'll get all of that information. So yeah, thank you. And then let me hand it over to Jenny. Jenny, we're going to put you on the spot now because I know that you've, thank you for taking everybody's information. So we're going to do the drawing now for 3 months of one-click membership.
Yep, for anybody who's not a member already.
Yes, correct.
So here we go.
Okay,
Right,
wait 1
Jenny.
second, Jenny. We want to see your face. Hold on.
All right, I'm going to get a good one. I mean, they're all good, obviously. All right, we got Floral Artistry 2509300.
So, is Floral Artistry still on? That's the question.
Oh, hey, that is a very good, yes, he is.
Mike Hollenbeck, hi.
Hey.
Congratulations, Mike. We will be reaching out to you after this. I just wanted to say thank you so much to Vonda and John. You're both amazing, and we have learned so much here. And just looking at the comments and questions, we thank you so much. I wanted to just let everybody know that we are available on social media. We have some in-person classes coming up. We have some virtual classes coming up, some more programs. So keep in touch, and we will see you all very soon. Thank you, Vonda and John. We appreciate you. And thanks Jenny for joining. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. You can do it.
Yes, you
You got this. You got it.